Okay, let me make sure I'm online. Okay, hello, I'm Alex from A.P.Ink. So, today I'm going to be picking up where I left off last time. Okay, sorry, I was waiting for the playback to catch up. I wasn't sure if I was frozen. Um, Going through fan art or creating fan art based on characters from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, previously, I'd already done this version of Venus. I want to create another version of her holding her fans, and I think um somehow symbolize her telekinesis. So I've got these two references for you guys if you want to draw along. So that's with her holding her fans, and then with her telekinesis. Okay, so I've got a piece of sketchbook paper. I've got a 2B pencil, more supplies off to the side. I'm gonna try to get right into this. I think to try and emulate this kind of, her head is kind of tucked down a little bit. So she's like, her head is tilted down, but she's looking straight up. Let me get this a little bit further up on the page. think to give her this kind of mid-action pose, like what she's how she's standing in the top reference. I'm trying to figure how I'm gonna put her hands, because there's her arms, because there's really not enough room to have them flared out like they are in the top reference. But I could have one in front and kind of one in behind her. So her shoulder, her bicep, elbow, and then I think if her hand should be like to the side, so you'd see, I think, this part of her hand, or if it should be more straight on so that you see the back of her hand. It matters because of how I should place the fan. I think if I had her hand so you saw this part of her hand, that would kind of foreshorten the fan. But if I have it so you see the back of her hand, I'd be able to draw the kind of frilly folds of the fan. Hello. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. And she's got a lot more, well, not really a lot more braces, but they're different than the first one that I did, the first version. I mean, granted, I missed the wrist wraps that she had. I think I'm gonna go with what I've already done here, just for cohesion. But okay, I'm trying to figure out exactly how she'd be holding the fan from like behind, because you can see both of these show from the palm side. I think she'd be kind of pinching. So maybe like this. But I think maybe this leg maybe should be aimed more. Trying to figure out how her legs should be positioned. Imagine if she had a standing fan, she'd be unstoppable. Yeah, maybe. I think I need to reposition this leg. I think I think I already said this, but to have this leg aimed more straight on, maybe. But I think this arm would be kind of maybe tucked toward her a bit more, so this leg would kind of overlap. It's going to be hard to see here because I don't do any ground on this, but I'm thinking to try and mesh both of these references, that she'd potentially actually be like floating somehow. Either she's like mid jump or she's actually making herself float. When I was looking up references for her and her weapons, she did seem to float herself quite a bit. And I kind of feel like because she might actually be like in the air, her feet would be kind of flared like down more versus like flat on the ground. So to give more of like the top down remembering that she has 2 toes and 3 fingers for some reason. I still need to look up a turtle's actual feet because I'm not sure what they look like. Okay, I think I still need to give her her shell, obviously. But to position this arm, maybe back and out, so to actually make it make sense that her arm hasn't been broken. So I was gonna have it back, like going back. So she's actually like reaching behind her. But maybe if I should have her forearm come out this way or up this way. Okay, I'm gonna switch and put in her shell. I know you're not going to be able to see this. I just feel obligated to put in the entire shell. You think she should have her fans at high speed, maximum speed? Okay, and then her belt. And then her belt buckle. And then the V on her belt, which stands for Venus. Okay, and then referring back to what I've already done. So she's got a band around her right thigh for the yin yang. And then the shin guards that she has. Okay, so on this side, she's got like a tie for her belt. So her arm is obviously blocking that, but you'd still be able to see the ties. So I think because she is kind of jumping, maybe to give those ties some movement. Okay, these straps for her shin guard. I feel like you'd see it on this leg, maybe not so much on this leg because of the angle. Okay, her mask. So again, her mask acts as like her stand-in eyebrows to help give her emotion. And she's looking quite cross in the upper reference, the white background reference. So to try and get that to come across here, and then to help try to push that kind of nose area here to pull up the fabric at the bottom here. And then I think the mouth area needs to come out a little bit more. To actually get the eyes to look symmetrical. Okay, let me try to actually figure out this arm. To push to try and make the bicep push back see if it's being pushed back though it would go down instead of like out. And I know this is just construction that isn't going to be seen after the fact, but just to try to make the anatomy make sense. Okay, the bicep, and then the elbow, and then I mean, okay. I could push her forearm, or her bicep, like that. Try to push it back. Her elbow. And then to foreshorten her forearm here. So it's like coming forward. So kind of the same way that they've shown her back arm here. So see, this ends up being a problem too, because how to position her hand. Which will affect how she's holding the fan. If I have her hand in the same kind of position that they've depicted it in the reference, so her hand, her thumb, the large yin yang symbol. I want to keep this all on the page though. The fan radius would actually come from the yin yang. Maybe this will work. I feel like I'm making her fans too small. If you actually look at the radius of the fans, they're quite big. Like, I feel like I'm making them like this big and they're like that big. If you can, that's not, like, I'm making it like that big and they're like that big. I mean, this one is further back, so it would be slightly smaller. There's should be the ribbon from her yin yang on her thigh. I think would be visible here. At least one part of it. Okay, let me get rid of the blocked parts, and we'll see if this actually makes sense. I mean, I still have to make the folds for the fans. I don't like how this back fan looks. Now, did I draw it different, or did I erase it and draw it exactly the same? No, she has 3 fingers. 2 toes and 3 fingers. Does that even look right? It would be easy to leave that out, but I don't think it's quite right if I did that. I mean, it's kind of muddy now because of all of the sketching and erasing. put in the basic shape for the yin yang. To actually reposition the arm, but I'm not sure where it would make sense to have it positioned instead. So I think just to try and put in the scallops for the folds in the fan. Okay. And then I think the last bit is just to put in the braid from the end of her mask, which I think, because she is not really the last, but like the second to last, because I still need to add her telekinesis, but because she is jumping, I'm going to try to give it the same kind of movement I gave these ties. Okay. So for her telekinesis, in the bottom reference, I'm never going to figure out where to point, but where she's actually using her telekinesis, that she's got like a yin yang, and I don't know if she's able to create that with her telekinesis or if she's holding something with a yin yang on it and making it glow. Of course, the bottom reference is kind of interesting. I need to learn more about Venus because I don't understand why her shell looks the way it does, where it looks like it's got a carve out and a light in it, aside from the fact that it's almost steampunk. with everything that's on the back of her shell. Refocusing on the telekinesis part though. Maybe just like a floating yin yang. Because there's kind of segments for the aura around the yin yang. I'm going to try and emulate that here. The details here are getting kind of small. Okay. I'm still not sure about this hand and the placement of the fan. I think moving on though, I'm gonna get into the line art. I've got a black brush pen. Okay, I think for this floating symbol, I'm gonna switch to, I think, 0.2 fine liner. Okay, I'm gonna give that a minute to dry, and then I'll erase the pencil. Thank you. Pulling colors for this, though, is going to be kind of easy because I'm referring to the colors I used for this version. Before I start digging them out, though, should erase the pencil, excuse me, and then clean up the eraser dust. Okay, really quick, I'm gonna clean up the eraser dust I just made on the table, and then we'll get into inking this. Okay, so true green for the base color of her skin, and then grass green to shade it. Okay, it looks like I got kicked offline. I'm just gonna try to finish this up though. Maybe I'll reconnect, maybe I won't. Okay. Grass green to shade. Okay. And then I think I used light cerulean blue and blue slate for her mask and other decorative elements. Thank you. No, I used blue slate on her belt buckle. Maybe I think I used true blue to shade the light cerulean blue. So that's what we'll do. We'll use the blue slate on her belt buckle. It's still supposed to be metal, so to try and emulate that, I don't think I quite got there, but okay, light cerulean blue. I think her fans are the same color as her mask, so I might do that too. true blue to shade it. I forgot to give her pupils. I'm actually tempted not to give her any. Like, I'm actually kind of thinking, okay, so in the bottom reference where she's using her telekinesis, where it's all in dark, I'm gonna have to do this after, but to actually take the colors that I use here and try to give her eyes like a glow, along with trying to cast a glow here on her body from her power. Okay. Spanish orange for her belly shell, and then goldenrod to shade it. goldenrod. And then I had used grass green, and then I think dark green on her shell. I know the upper reference shows her with a brown shell, but I'm just trying to keep it consistent with what I've already done. Just making sure I had the right color. Dark green. Okay. For the parts that I left out, I had used dark matter gray on all of these dark spots instead of using black. I'm gonna use that again here. People are putting up baking fails on IG. Okay, I think I still need to do this here. So I think I'm just gonna go in with light cerulean blue. I'm gonna leave parts of this white to try and emulate that glowing look. Okay, and then I think to touch up some spots here and there, like here for the white dot in the yin yang, touch this dot up, and then I'm tempted to add a highlight here on the belt. I probably shouldn't though. I'm gonna add some white gel pen here if I can get the ink to flow. And then I think what I'll do digitally is go in here and try to feather out the harsh line. Maybe I was gonna say maybe actually get rid of the line art, but maybe not. I don't know. I'm gonna play with it, but I think blur the whole area to give it kind of that glowing aura look, like what is depicted here. Thank you. I'm not sure what a VGen account is. Okay, I think that's about it. A commission art platform. I'll look into it. But now I've got 2 versions of Venus. But yeah, I am going to leave this one here. Thanks, Asakura, for hanging out. Thanks, Hands of Rain, for jumping in the chat. Thank you to anybody else who watched or watches. If you'd like to see what I draw next, please make sure that you're following me and that your notifications are turned on so that you're notified for the next time I go live. Thank you, you too. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.